Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. So I think all of you are doing well, and today I'm going to continue with the fourth video on subject verb agreement. And in my first and second video I discussed 11 rules on subject verb agreement, and the third video was on a practice set. And in this video, in this fourth video, I'm going to continue with the rules, and let's start from the rule number 12. Okay, so in 12th number rule, so rule number 12. In 12th rule, I can include that if two singular if two singular subjects are joined by and of same sense, or for the same person or person thing, the verb will be in singular. So the rule is, in this case you have to remember, you have to note, if two singular subjects are joined by and, by the conjunction and, of same sense or for the same person or thing, the verb will be in singular. So for example, for example for example I can include bread and butter. Bread and butter is good food. Bread and butter is good food. So if you notice bread and butter, okay, both are of same sense or of same rank. That's why, and they are and joined by conjunction, and that's why the verb is in singular form, and the answer is bread and butter is good for health. We can't write bread and butter are good for health or are good food, whatever. Okay, so, and in next rule, in rule number 13, I can include that with the name of any book, newspaper, and subject, we use singular verb. So in this case you have to remember that with the name of any book, newspaper, and any subject, we uses the singular subject, or sorry, the singular verb. Okay, so for example I can say economics is economics is in the syllabus. Economics is in syllabus. So although in this case you are seeing that economics consists of s at last, okay, but don't be confused with this s and don't think that this is plural, because this is a name of a subject. Okay, there is a subject called economics, such as then another subject is physics, mathematics. So in every case you will see a s at last, s with the name of the subject, but don't be confused with this s, because this is not referring to any plural form but in singular. That's why the verb will also be in singular. That's why economics is, okay, mathematics is. In the same way, if you get any name of any newspaper, okay, let's take another example. So if I take another example, like the sorry the Times of India is growing rapidly. The Times of India is growing rapidly. So this is the name of a newspaper. Okay, that's why the verb will also be in singular, because this is basically referring to the singular sense. Okay, name of a particular newspaper. That's why. Okay, and if you include any name of a book, okay, for example, for example, War and Peace is written by Leo Tolstoy. Okay, so War and Peace is written by Leo Tolstoy. In this case, you have to use is. The verb is in singular. Okay, either you can use is or was, but in both cases, you will have to use the verb into singular, because this is basically referring to the name of a book. Name of a book. Okay. So I'm repeating that if you get any name of a book, newspaper, or any subject, then at that case you have to use the verb into singular form. Okay. So the 14th rule can be if two or more, if two or more subjects are are joined by joined by with together with together with or as well as the verb agrees with the first subject. With the first subject. So the rule is if two or more subjects are joined by, with, together with, or as well as. Okay, so if you get any two or more subjects are joined by these words or group of words, with, together with, as well as, then at that case you have to remember that the verb will agree with the first subject, okay. So for example, uh, I can say the minister as well as the as well as the staffs dash arrived dash arrived arrived okay. So if you see, there are two subjects, okay. The first is the minister and the second is the staff, right? So not staff, staffs. So this is in plural and the minister is in singular. The minister is in singular. So the minister as well as the staffs dash arrived. So choose from choose anyone. Has or have so simply the answer will be has, because the two subjects are joined by as well as. If any two or more subjects are joined by as well as, then we need to consider, or you have to remember that the verb will agree with the first subject, and here the first subject is in singular, right? The minister. That's why the verb will also be in singular. Clear? So the answer is has. The minister as well as the staffs has arrived. I think it's clear to you. So let's go to the 15th. So in 15th rule, I can include that after after not only but also the verb agrees with the nearest subject. Okay. Let's take an example, otherwise it will not be clear to you. So for example, I can write not only the boys but also the teacher dash watching the TV. Okay. So the example is not only the boys but also the teacher dash watching the TV. Okay. So the rule was with or after not only but also, the verb agrees with the nearest subject. So this is important, nearest subject. So in this sentence, if you look, then there are two subjects. One is the boys, okay, and the second subject is the teacher, okay. And if you notice, the teacher is in singular, and the boys is in plural. The boys is in plural, right? So, who is the nearest subject? The nearest subject is the teacher. And as the teacher is in singular, that's why the verb will also be in singular, right? So, the answer will be is. The answer will be is. Not only the boys, but also the teacher is watching the TV, right? I think up to this clear. So for today, this is it, and we will discuss from the 16th rule from next class. Okay, thank you.